Hey everybody, Cinemasticus here, and I'm just about to go see Final Destination 5, so I wanted to give you my quick thoughts on what I'm thinking the movie's going to be like, and maybe a little bit on what I thought of the first four movies. Well, first of all, I was kind of not too thrilled when I heard about the making a fifth movie. I like the fact that the Final Destination was actually the Final Destination. I was hoping that was the case. But of course, it made some money, so they're going to make some more. That's Hollywood. My thoughts on the series, the first two movies I really like. The first movie I thought was great. I was a big fan of the movie. I thought it brought something different. It was unique, original, had a really good, just a really good story, I thought. I like the whole death thing coming for you. I thought that was pretty cool. Obviously the great death scenes. I mean, that was the big thing. A lot of people just went to see the movie for the death scenes, and they were great. I mean, if you're into that sort of thing, they were fantastic. So the first movie I thought was great. A lot of people might disagree with me here, but I'd say classic horror movie. Not in the sense of like, Friday the 13th or Nightmare on Elm Street classic, but, if you were to make a list of like classic, horror movies, some of the best horror movies, as far as like originality and uniqueness is concerned, I would put it in there. So I was a big fan of the first movie. Second one came along. I thought it was decent. It's your typical Hollywood sequel where, it's all right. Basically just like a not as good version of the first one, and that was okay. It's what I expected from a sequel, and I enjoyed it. It also had really good death scenes. I like the fact that it actually played off the first movie. It was like a continuation. It wasn't like its own little story. It actually was a continuation from the first one. I thought that was cool. So I like the first movie, and I like the second movie. I thought they were great. I've seen them like a dozen times each. They're good movies. As far as, horror movies go, like especially horror movies from like the 90s on, they're good movies. I really enjoy them. I'm a fan. Then came the third movie. That was crap. It was so bad. I remember I didn't see it in theaters. I saw it at home, and they had that stupid like choose your own fate thing where you can either just watch the movie like theatrically, or you could do like a choose your own fate one where you got to pick like how the deaths wanted to be, or what deaths happen, or it was just stupid. Very gimmicky, very dumb, bad movie. It wasn't continuation. It was like its own thing. It was so badly done. The acting was just really piss poor. It was definitely a movie just simply done for money. It wasn't like the first two where, they were actually trying to make good movies. No, this one, I don't think there was any effort. I think they just went, all right, what really cool... They basically wrote really cool death scenes and then wrote a really crappy, story kind of that was based off the first... that ripped off the first movie around those cool death scenes. And that was all it was. And even the death scenes weren't that great. They were just media... I mean, they were okay, I guess. They were all right. They were fun, but not like the first two. They just didn't have that feel the first two movies had. So no, the third one was sucked. Then The Final Destination came out, and didn't see it in theaters either. Bought that, watched it, and hated that too. I just thought it just wasn't very good. I mean, it wasn't as... I'll give this. It wasn't as bad as the third one. I'll give it that. But it just wasn't good. It was, again, mediocre. Just a movie that felt like a movie for money. It didn't feel like it was trying to... to live up to the first movie. It just felt like, they were like, Hollywood was like, we want some more money. We know you people will see this movie. Let's put it out. It was just bad. Again, death scenes, again, okay. Still not as good as the first two. It felt like just a movie that was a little bit better than the first one. That was it. So I did not like the third one, and I did not like the fourth one. So then they said Final Destination 5 was coming out, and I'm thinking, oh, come on, really? Do we need a third really bad movie? Then I started to hear, people talking about it, and apparently it's not bad. From what I've heard, if you like the first two movies, you're going to dig this one. And that excites me, because even from the trailers, I remember watching the trailers, I'm thinking, like, no, why are they doing this movie? But then at the same time going, it doesn't look like it's all that bad. This might actually be okay. But I mean, even though the trailers made it look like it was going to be okay, I just sort of assumed it was going to be crap because of last two were. But again, then I started to hear people give their thoughts on it, and apparently from reviews I've heard, it's not bad. It's a decent movie. And that excites me because, again, I'm a big fan of the first two movies. I think they're great, great horror movies. Is, you know, like they go on my list of great horror movies. So to know that, you know, basically I'm hoping what I can do is go into this movie and just forget that the third and fourth one even existed and just kind of make this my number 3. And that's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping for a movie that's either that lives up to number 2 or maybe is like a little bit worse than number 2. You know, kind of like you would actually expect movies to go. You know, the first one's great. The first sequel, you know, it's okay. It's not, you know, it's not as good as the first one, but it's still good. And the third one, you hope that, you know, it's not quite as good as the second and first one, but it's still all right. If you like the series, you're going to like it. And that's what I'm hoping for this one. I'm hoping I at least get a movie that I can at least enjoy. I can at least look at it maybe as like the third movie where I go, okay, you know, it's not as good as the first two, but it was still fun and enjoyable and I liked it. And that is what I hear this movie is. I hear this movie is just a movie for the fans of the first two movies, basically. If you like the series, you're going to like it. So that excites me. I'm really looking forward to seeing this, actually, because, like I said, I'm a big fan of the first two. So that's my thoughts going into this. I originally started out with just really negative thoughts, thinking this was just going to be a bad movie, and I was going to have no interest in seeing it. I was obviously going to buy it when it came out on DVD, because, you know, I got, or Blu-ray or whatever, because I have to have, you know, I'm a completist, got to have the whole series. So I was going to buy it regardless and see it regardless, but I was just going to wait till it came out. But friend and I, you know, wanted to go to the movies tonight, and I said, let's go see Final Destination 5, because I've heard good things. So again, I originally started off going into the movie thinking it was going to be crap, but now from reviews I've heard, I'm going into it very positively. I'm just assuming it's actually going to be pretty good, and I'm really hoping. So yeah, so we're just about to go in. I'm actually sitting here in the parking lot waiting for my friend to show up, and as soon as he does, we're going to go see the movie, and when we're done, I'll let you know what I thought of it. So see you in a little bit. All right, well, we just got out of seeing Final Destination 5, so my thoughts. Pretty much what I expected, to be completely honest with you. Like I was saying, I figured it was going to be like a part 3, as far as like how good it was. It wasn't as good as the first one, wasn't as good as the second one, but it was definitely better than 3 and 4. So I will give it that. It turns out, and I actually do remember hearing something about this in a review, so I should have remembered this going into it. Apparently it's, even though it's called Final Destination 5, it's actually a prequel to the first one. So, spoiler alert, it ends with them getting on that plane that explodes in the first one. So, yeah, so it's basically a prequel, and they do a fairly good job, actually. My friend Zach, who I went to see with, he was actually commenting on they were using cell phones, and they were like big, thick, like cell phones. And he was like, "What is this, like 1995 or something like that?" And I was like, "Well, actually," and you know, I told him about that. So they did a fairly decent job of making it look like I guess it was when it was 2000, I believe, Final Destination came out. So they did a fairly good job of making it look like it was the year 2000. I mean, not that they had to stretch it a lot. I mean, not a lot has changed, but you know, things like music. I think they were playing like Girl drove up and they're playing like Everclear. So little things like that to make it, you know, look like it was taking place a little bit. Like 10, 11 years ago. So, yeah, what do I think of it? It was good. I did enjoy the movie, and I would say if you liked the first and second one, it's worth seeing. Worth seeing in theaters? No, I would wait to rent it. It wasn't really good enough, I'd say, to see in theaters. It wasn't nothing you got to rush out and see. So, yeah, but like I said, it was good. Like I said, I really enjoyed the first one, really enjoyed the second one, and part 5, you know, it did feel like what you'd expect part 3 to be as far as like in goodness. You know, it was a little cheesy, definitely not as good as the first two, but enjoyable. Death scenes, they were pretty cool. You know, definitely original, out there. I really liked them. Something about like I said, something about the death scenes in 2 and 4. I don't know, because I can't say they were overdone, because all the death scenes in these movies are really overdone and really out there and crazy, but just something about them, it didn't feel, I don't know, it just didn't feel all that, I don't want to say thought out or what, just something about it, I was like, meh, to those death scenes, but the death scenes in this, they were interesting, they were cool, they're pretty freaky. It's definitely a cringe movie. You'll be watching the whole movie going, oh, you know, it makes you cringe. We did see it in good old 3D, so that was interesting. But as far as the 3D goes, It's hit or miss. I can't say I hate the 3D, because the 3D, when I go to see a movie that's in 3D, I want the campiness, I want the goofiness, I don't want 3D just for the sake of it being 3D. I want 3D for the sake of it being like campy and goofy. And I'd say the parts of the movie that were were 3D, the parts that were flying at you and stuff, those were great. Those were pretty campy. Those were cheesy. You know, things like the eyeball and the girl getting impaled and the spike coming out at you and things like that. I thought that was pretty fun. But that's only like 5% of the movie, if that. So like 95% of the movie isn't really worth being in 3D. So it's hard to say if I liked it or not, because I think there should have been more campiness to it. I would have liked more campy 3D-ness than what we got. That's the only downfall. You know, out of 5% of a movie being like worth the 3D, doesn't really make it. It should have been at least like maybe 25% of the movie or something. So I don't know, 3D. I see. It's hard to say. In fact, is this movie even not playing in 3D? I don't know. At the theater we went to, and I think the other theater by my house, I think it's only playing in 3D. So I don't actually know if you can even see this in 2D. I'm not sure about that. But if you have the option and you are going to the movie theater to see it, it's really tough for me to say whether or not you should see it in 3D or not. Because, like I said, it benefited from 3D in certain parts, but not a lot. So I'd say if you really do want to see it in 3D, like you're a fan of 3D, you really like 3D, sure, spend the extra money, see it in 3D. If you're not really a fan of 3D, if you're just kind of like, meh, to 3D, like that's how I am. As far as 3D goes, there's some movies where I'm like, cool, like Piranha 3D, you know, cheesy movies like that, where I really liked it. But if it's not really your thing, if you're just on the fence about 3D, you don't need to see a movie in 3D. If that's how you feel, then don't bother. Just see it in 2D. But then again, like I said, I wouldn't even go to theaters and see this. I'd wait till it comes to your rental store, Redbox or something, or Netflix or whatever, and rent it for pretty cheap. But I definitely would say it's worth seeing. I would say, yeah, I would definitely say check it out. If you like the first two movies, definitely check it out. Don't let 3 and 4 persuade you from seeing this movie. It was definitely worth it. I would recommend checking it out. I did see a really cool trailer. The trailers that first of all, that pissed me off. There were like 14 trailers in front of this movie. They just kept going. They would not stop. The other thing that ticked me off is some of the trailers were in 3D, some of them were not. But they didn't group them together. Like, they didn't start off... I really, really liked it. They would have started off showing you all the non-3D trailers and then showing you, like, the other 3D trailers right before the movie. That made sense, because I had to keep, I'm like, oh, it's in 3D. Oh, this one's not in 3D. Oh, it's in 3D. I just had to keep taking my glasses off. I mean, I know you don't need to take your glasses off to see it, but they're dark glasses, so everything looked really dark. So I just kept taking them off. It was annoying. I wish they wouldn't have done that. But the Harold and Kumar new movie, that looks awesome. I like Harold and Kumar. They're pretty funny, and the movie looked really good. I'm looking forward to seeing that. I'll definitely have to go to the theaters this Christmas and see that. It looked good. So that's it. Again, basically, I'll just say check the movie out. Had some cool death scenes. It was worth seeing. I know I sort of spoiled it by saying it was a prequel, but that doesn't really spoil the movie. It's a little twist ending sort of at the end, which I kind of spoiled for you, but it doesn't spoil the movie. It's not like the movie's not worth seeing now or something, because I said that. It was definitely worth it. Is there anything else I really want to say about the movie? Oh, Candyman's character, he was completely pointless. He just played this weird, creepy character. I can't remember the actor's name, but the guy who plays Candyman. He would just randomly show up and kind of give these like creepy premonitions, like in Friday the 13th, you're all doomed. But and then his character really didn't play any part whatsoever. He just sort of showed up, kind of warned them all, and then that was it. Like, he didn't help save them, really. I mean, he didn't help save them. He didn't do anything. He just sort of showed up. He was all creepy and acted all scary-like and all Candyman-like, and then just disappeared. Very odd. So now I'm just sort of rambling on about certain things I saw in the movie. I don't know. I guess there really isn't much more to say. Since again, I'm just sort of rambling on now. But yeah, so I know I already said this, but I'll say it one more time. If you like the first two movies, you're a fan of them, even if you're a fan of the series, I'd say it's definitely worth seeing, but wait till rent it. You don't need to see it in the theaters. If you're not a fan of any of them, then definitely don't see it, because you know, it wasn't that great. So if you like the first one, like, for instance, my wife, she loves the first one, doesn't like any of the other ones. She isn't going to want to see this movie. If that's the way you feel, don't see it. But if you're like me, you like the first two, check it out. So I'm going to shut up now because, like I said, I'm definitely rambling on. So see you guys.